Many space stocks took off today at the starting bell. They were out of the gate in no time flat. ASTS SpaceMobile shot higher. Rocket Lab moved. Virgin Atlantic exploded upward. Ticker symbol SPCE space. Redwire jumped RDW. Intuitive Machines surged LUNR. Lunar. Even some smaller speculative names started waking up. Suddenly, investors are asking the same question again: is space becoming investable? But there's something that younger investors may not fully realize. Before Elon Musk became the face of private spaceflight, before SpaceX became one of the most important private companies in the world, and before the entire market became obsessed with reusable rockets, there was Sir Richard Branson. England's now King Charles knighted Sir Branson at Buckingham Palace 26 years ago on March 30th, the year 2000, for Sir Branson's services to entrepreneurship. Say that 10 times. Remember, Sir Branson started Virgin Records with a few cardboard boxes full of albums in his living room. Okay. He started with nothing. This man was a PR and marketing genius. And he ran not only Virgin Records, but he later expanded into several companies. I remember younger years, I'd read about him and I was like, how does he do that? How does he keep his finger on all of these different companies? You know, he's amazing to this day. I don't know how he does it, but I always remember being really intrigued by how big he thought. He thinks big. He was one of the world's original, real first entrepreneurs who was involved with everything, and nothing got in his way. He would look at a challenge and just say, I'm going to do that. He started an airline out of nothing, Virgin Airlines, nothing. Just like he did Virgin Records, nothing, zero, just an idea. And, all his companies, they go on and they make billions of dollars. So it's incredible, whatever he puts his name on. Incredible. Starts with nothing, ends up as a billionaire many times over. Now, last I heard, he owns an island, Necker Island in the Caribbean, and he's out there just enjoying life. Why not, So today, when people think about private space companies, they immediately think of Elon Musk and SpaceX. Okay, I get it. It's understandable. Those are people, entities, symbols that are in the news all the time, all over the media. SpaceX changed the aerospace industry. It changed launch economics. It changed satellite deployment. It changed the entire conversation, how we speak about commercial space. But for years, 30 years plus, maybe 40 years before SpaceX ever became the cultural force that it is today, Sir Richard Branson and Virgin Atlantic were already helping normalize the idea that private companies, not governments, could participate in spaceflight and do it a lot more economically too. Faster, cheaper, quicker, the whole bit. Because, the way Sir Branson was and is like, this is what I want to do, so let's just do it. I don't care how you do it, let's just get it done. And he knew, just like Musk, how to attract good people to him and how to put them to work. Mr. Trump does the exact same thing. Huh? All you people who like to hate all these people, they hate Trump, they hate Musk. Well, next time you want to hate somebody, why don't you check first and see if you're not just a little bit jealous, right? So first came Virgin Galactic, then came SpaceX, and that matters because that's history. That's how it went. Virgin Galactic helped make private space feel real to the public. Like it wasn't theory anymore. It wasn't science fiction. It wasn't just NASA, NASA being in control of everything. Virgin Galactic put John Q. Public in orbit. You know what I mean? It meant that we could do it too. So it's amazing. And Sir Branson, he brought celebrity, branding, excitement, consumer imagination into the story. He turned space into something that ordinary investors could emotionally connect to. And that may sound, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal. But psychologically, it was huge. If you were alive then, if you were cognizant, if you were walking around, you understand this story because it was big, Before people can invest in a future, they first have to imagine it. And Sir Richard Branson helped people imagine it. He said, oh, we can do this. We don't need NASA. We can do this. Now, of course, Virgin Galactic and SpaceX evolved very differently. SpaceX has become industrial, launching satellites, building Starlink, working with NASA, developing Starship, and potentially reshaping global communications and transportation. Virgin Galactic, meanwhile, focused more on commercial space tourism and the experience economy. Great. What's wrong with that? Nothing. Different business models, different ambitions, different execution. But here's what's fascinating. The current SpaceX IPO excitement may now be reviving interest across the entire space sector, not just one stock. We're seeing speculative money rotate back into Rocket Lab, ASTS, Redwire, Intuitive Machines, LUNR, Virgin Galactic, ticker Space, SPCE, or Spice if you want to think of Spice Girls and all that. But Space, SPCE, that's what it is. And several other smaller names, but those companies are making money too. That doesn't mean all these companies are going to succeed. Some may fail, some may dilute shareholders heavily. Like, I think that's what's happening with SIDU right now, SIDU. I think they're going through some shareholder dilution, and they're paying the price, but it'll come back. Probably, possibly, hopefully. Emotionally, the market may be entering a new phase where investors are once again willing to dream about the future of space. And that's what markets often do. They rotate from fear to hope, to imagination, to let's go make some money over here. It's speculative, it's prospecting, and it's fun. Another interesting thing is Virgin Galactic itself. For years, many investors almost treated the company like a forgotten relic from the last speculative boom. But suddenly, the stock is moving again. Why? Because the entire narrative around commercial space is changing again. The company, remember, SPCE, I got some this morning, recently reopened ticket sales at roughly $750,000 per seat. So now if you want to go to space, you can apply, but it's going to run you $750,000 for your seat. Buckle up. We're going to space. But they're testing, they're testing again. Testing activities going on. And investors may be wondering whether space tourism eventually becomes viable, at scale. Maybe the price will come down a bit. I don't know. But for some people, $750 is nothing. They can cut a check and that's it. Or, wire transfer, whatever it is. They've got it. It's nothing. So these companies we've mentioned, they're highly speculative, many of them. Cash burn matters, execution matters, delays matter, competition matters, but the psychological story is fascinating because we may be witness right now, we may be watching the public rediscover the idea of space investing and space travel in real time. And if SpaceX, when it eventually does become public, the entire sector could become one of Wall Street's hottest emotional narratives. And you know what the market does with emotional narrative. The price of everything, it goes up, But like Johnny Carson used to say, why is divorce so expensive? Carson would say, because it's worth it. That's why it's expensive, because it's worth it. And, maybe that's the bigger story here. We're not talking about one stock, one billionaire. We're talking about the return of a very real, ancient human dream to travel in space, to go up there and go check it out. The desire to go explore out there, And in markets, stories like that can become extremely powerful. Just as a reminder, this is not financial advice, right? My attorney told me you got to say that. This is not financial advice. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I'm just a working stiff like you and me and everybody else, right? I just observe the observe the market and human behavior in real time. And I find great stuff and I record it because I think other people, if I'm thinking it's great, other people might get excited about it too. It's fascinating, this stuff. It's amazing to be alive this time, right? If you like this kind of content, psychology, investing, future trends, market narratives, finger on the pulse of society at large, please like, subscribe, and visit the website, jackcarterbooks.com. And remember, sometimes the market reveals what people are hoping for long before the future actually arrives, right? Sometimes you feel that energy, as it's like if you're cooking something on the stove, it doesn't the frying pan doesn't get real hot real soon. Sometimes some things, they come to a slow boil, but then once they're cooking, they're really cooking, right? So anywho, have a great day. Happy hunting. Good luck. Let's make some money. I'll see you next time.